Every Monday morning, the CEO of his care business spent 4 hours pulling from four different systems just to understand how her week ahead looked. Finance, operations, staff, compliance, four tools, none of them connected. So I built something that fixed all of that. And in the process, we found £86,000 she didn't know she was losing. This is how. My name's Manny. I'm a finance professional over 15 years across public and private sector at Visa, Cabinet Office, and the UK HSA. Now I run an AI consultancy for UK small businesses. And the thing that I kept seeing across every organization I worked in was the same problem. Not a data problem, a visibility problem. And here's what most small businesses look like underneath, even mine as well. I was here once as well. You have your finance systems in one place on Sage or Zero. You have your HR on a Breathe HR potentially, or on a spreadsheet, or something someone built ages ago. You have your operations on a notes app or in your emails or scattered across things. You need to have everything in one space in somewhere where you can have things connected so you can see the patterns between all of them running, all of them full of data, none of them actually talking to each other. And here's what happens when you need to know how your business is actually doing. You open Zero, right? You go and check your inbox or for outstanding quotes. You try and remember how busy each team actually is from last month. And then you give up and just go with your gut. And that's not a you problem. That's a systems problem. And here's what it costs you. And I don't just mean the time. When your data is, and as I said before, when your data is disconnected, you can't see the relationship between things. You can't see that revenue is up and your margins are down. You can't see that there's three people off this week and delivery is about to drop. You can't see that there's 40 grand in your receivables and have been sitting there for 90 days. You know, at the end of the day, you know the money's there. There's a signal that it's there. It's disconnected and no one's flagging it. So you end up floundering a bit. That's what I've seen in the clients that I've worked with, and this is what the most consistent messages and trends that I've seen across multiple different businesses. So before I touch any tool with any client, I like to do what I call a discovery. I map every system they have, every data source, every number that actually drives the business, and then before I actually start doing the building. And so before I walk you through this again, before I walk you through this again, this is a real Bluebell Care agency. It has been anonymized, just so you don't have all the information from the client that I worked with, but it is based on a real engagement. A quick note again is that even though this is a care agency business, the structure is identical for whatever business that you run. You can take all your departments that you have, finance, marketing, operations, etc., and kind of map it across what we have here on the left hand side. So obviously you can replace Nourish for whatever job management system. If you're a plumber and you have leads coming in from Checker Trade, you could plug that in there. You've got Sage, you could have Zero or QuickBooks, etc., etc. So you can kind of walk it through there. Again, you've got care management, accounting, HR, core monitoring. 90% of businesses have similar things. So again, it's all about taking this structure but applying it to your. In the middle here is where the work happens. You've got your weekly data reports, you've got your automated processing, you've got your every department's targets kind of loaded in. And that's how you can, obviously, you as the manager would apply your targets to it. And then you can even have a RAG system where you red, amber, green, apply to each. This is kind of where you have your strategist hat on, and you can kind of say, okay, where do I want the business to go once you mapped out all of these different systems? And then you can allow it to, you can plug in your budget, your forecast, so you can then use those as guardrails to track against. And then on the right hand side is where the information comes out, and where this is where you'll be using and viewing it on a day to day, and where you get your visualizations. So you've got a live KPI dashboard, as we've been discussing. You've got your other five departmental view. You've got it broken out that way. You then got I like to have a pinned finance tab, just so you know, the finance stuff is obviously very sensitive, so you can't just have it for anybody who has access to it. I like to give a health score, so you understand where your business is in general against your different targets. And then also what I do is we spit out a weekly insights report, so you get key information broken down, and give you again insights. Again, it's important to be data rich, but it's even more important to be insight rich. You don't want to be data rich. And so before this existed, the CEO was piecing everything together herself every single week. And when I'm at the business, there was big things that jumped out to me during that discovery period. Was compliance risk buried in the care monitoring data, patterns that only show up kind of when you look across the whole month. And these are things that this EQC would have been hot on. There was £60,000 in receivables sitting in there for 90 days. It was hidden in Sage, but they weren't able to extract it. That was something that nobody was flagging. And then the HR and operational data had never been in the same room. They never looked at it together, and that's the link between those different things, between staff levels and service quality. None of that required a developer to spot. It requires someone to ask the right question. The title of the video says 84,400. Let me show you exactly where that number comes from, because it's not a projection, it's built from their own data, and I can illustrate that for you. 60k in receivables sitting at 90 days. Once the dashboard flagged it every week, the majority was recovered within 60 days. The CEO was spending 4 hours every Monday on manual reporting at her day rate that was costing in leadership time every year. That's £12,000 and £14,400 in compliance risk reduction. Missed visits, late calls, carry CQC regulatory exposure. We value that conservatively. So that's three numbers from their very own systems. That's the 86,000. Now I want to show you something useful before I start talking about different options. You don't need a consultant or someone to start the process. You can run a version of this discovery. As I said, this is the foundations of your dashboard right now. So once you're in Claude, I'm using the desktop version. You can use Claude AI, the website, if you want. I find the desktop version is really good for your if you have just £20 subscription fee, it can do wonders for you. So yeah, let's just type in, so run a care agency in Staffordshire. Do you know what? Let me just copy this in, and then you should be able to see it. So as you can see here, the prompt is in. Again, you give it your business profile, the systems that you have. Again, these are structurally can change. You just want to keep the structure but change the different elements to it. So here I will have a link in this to this prompt in the bio below. You hit go. Again, just a quick note, you can use Sonnet for this. The Opus system is, again, it takes a lot of tokens, but for this kind of discovery phase, you can just use Sonnet. It will do 99% of the work that Opus can. So as you can see here, it's building you a very comprehensive PDF, or I think it's in HTML right now, that you can see. And yeah, there you go. So you've now got the full discovery document. Again, with any HR, with any AI, again, you may want to reprompt it to give it exactly kind of what you want. But again, for one shot, this gives you quite a comprehensive understanding of your business. Again, from this example, which you can then proceed to move on to either take and here you have the dashboard. So you've got one screen with the 5 different departments all listed down here. You've now got you've got your health score, that you're able to look and see kind of where you are tracking against all the various different levels. The leadership team can open this up every Monday morning or on the weekend or whatever, and actually see a very targeted approach for how they can lead into the rest of the week. And again, it takes far less time than 4 hours trying to figure out what fires to put out and leading in that way. And just so you guys can see, the finance tab is on here as well, that you can get more of a targeted breakdown as to what is going on. And this is also another benefit of the dashboard. It allows you to have, again, targeted insights. So this is a weekly insight report that I sent out to the CEO, which I automated to send that to CEO. So it allows you to basically see all of the different numbers. This is a very detailed finance breakdown, but it can be a lot more concise if it needs to be. But again, it allows them to have a full understanding of what's going in. So now you've got obviously all the headline numbers, the cash position, the net income, the staff costs, etc. All of the different breakdowns which you need. This is something that will allow a CEO or a CFO to really get a quick snapshot as to what they need to do, where the business is going, what trend lines it's on, and get quite a full picture ahead of making any decisions. So now getting a system from that map to a connected system like Bluebell's, that's a slightly different conversation. And there's 3 honest ways to get there. First, you can bring in someone who's already built one, and here's exactly why that discovery matters so much, is because you go into that conversation knowing exactly what you need. You're not being steered or led in any way. You're not paying a consultant to figure out your business. You're paying them to build something you've already mapped out, and that then changes the brief completely. And to be honest, likely is normally a bit cheaper. The second is NAN or Make automation tools, visual, drag and drop, free to start if you've got a few weekends and you're comfortable trying to learn something new. This will be how a lot of small businesses will build their first connected workflow and systems to sort of get into that world. The third is Claude Code, way more powerful than the previous option. Write scripts, pulls data from your systems automatically when your systems need to share data directly between themselves. It gets technical really fast, but if you're curious and it's well worth exploring, it'll be I'll do a dedicated version of this video for that. Then the discovery you've worked on is done. The mapping, the 4 questions, the prompt makes everything else on this path a lot easier. So the 60K in late receivable fees, the compliance risk nobody was watching, and the 4 hours of manual work every Monday, none of that was hidden. It just had nowhere to go. And if you want someone to, do that discovery for you at an expert level, do the build and hand you a dashboard that could have exponential value for your business, that's exactly what I do. I work with a small number of UK businesses directly. You can find me at mannymo.com or coreisolutions.com. And if that was useful, next week, the next video is going to be right here. It's the one where I go deeper into the discovery process, the 4 questions that I ask every business before I build anything. And you could do the same for